Big news this week. Elon Musk just announced that he's building a $1 billion plant in Austin to add 5,000 new jobs to the city and the state of Texas. This was announced recently. Here's an article from CNBC saying Elon Musk chose freedoms Texas offers for new Tesla factory, says state's GOP governor, which is Governor Abbott. And let me tell you why this is so important, and a very big difference between a person like Elon Musk saying no to California with the challenges he was having, where he was getting shut down to say, you cannot open your plant. And he comes out and he says, I'm opening up my plant because I believe I'm essential. And then he chooses Texas. Why is this so important for everybody that's living in California and everywhere else? Here's why. Let me give you an example of what happened in 2016, 2017. In 2016, 2017, Carl Icahn, legendary billionaire, left New York to move his office and his business to Florida. Why? Because he's going to save money on taxes. This is because New York is way too high. Then Leon Cooperman, which many of you probably have never heard of, he had a feud with Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, and he also left Jersey to go to Florida. And David Tepper, who probably you've never heard of, also another billionaire, hedge fund billionaire, left Jersey for Florida. And Paul Tudor Jones II, which you've probably never heard of, who's a billionaire worth $5.1 billion, left Connecticut to Florida. And Eddie Lampert, probably somebody you haven't heard of, left Connecticut to Florida in 2012. And Barry Sternlicht left Connecticut to Florida in 2016. Now, why am I keep saying you probably haven't heard of? You probably haven't heard of. You probably haven't heard of. The point I'm trying to make to you is the following point here. See, Joe Rogan was just asked yesterday by, is Joe, I believe, Joe DeSana asked him, watch this.
What's the story? You moving?
I'm out of here. Yeah.
When do you leave?
Soon. Yeah.
Texas or?
Yeah, I'm going to go to Texas.
I'm moving to Texas. So now let me get this straight. Joe Rogan announces he's going to Texas. This guy runs a #1 podcast. Okay, he's moving to Texas. Elon Musk announces he's building a $1 billion plant in Texas and tells California, you're annoying to deal with, but I'm still going to stay with you a little bit, but long-term plans, I'm looking at Texas. What is the biggest difference between a Joe Rogan saying he's moving to Texas, between Elon Musk saying he's moving to Texas, and all these billionaires, Carl Icahn, Leon Cooperman, David Tepper, Paul Tudor Jones, Eddie Lampert, Barry Sternlicht? What is the difference between these two guys saying they're moving and the other names? You ready? Here's why. When I moved to the States, we moved to Glendale, California. If you know anything about Glendale, California, Armenians are all over Glendale, California. Why? When you look at the Assyrian community, it's a very small community. I'm half Armenian, half Assyrian. Many Assyrians live either in Detroit or they live in Turlock, San Jose, Northern California. Why? When you look at a lot of Persians, they live near Santa Monica and Beverly Hills. Why? You can go look at Italians. They live in New York. You can go look at Irish. Why though? We got to ask that critical question of why. Here's why. This is how it works. Armenians didn't one day just wake up and say, Glendale's got the perfect climate for us to move to. Assyrians didn't just say, Turlock's the place to go to because it's the perfect place for Assyrians. Let's go to Detroit. That's what we're going to. Italians, New York's the place for us. Let's go to New York. Cubans, we got the moment an influential person who's got a big mouthpiece leaves, everybody follows. Let me say this one more time. When the first influential Armenian moved to Glendale, everybody else said, our men moved to Glendale, we're all moving to Glendale. Who were coming from Iran, who were coming from Russia, who were coming from Lebanon, it doesn't matter. Because of an influential person left to Glendale, we're going to. Because an influential Italian moved to New York, we're going to. Because you can go look at Haitians, Italians, Irish, Mexicans, Puerto Rican, it doesn't matter. There's a massive Puerto Rican community in Orlando. Why Orlando? Because an influential one went first. If California doesn't get their act together, when a mouthpiece like Elon Musk or a mouthpiece like Joe Rogan, with the level of influence that they have, here's Elon Musk's Twitter account. Let me just show this to you. He's got 37.1 million followers. When he sends a tweet, he gets 592,000 likes. When he sends a tweet, people follow what this man is saying. When you got that kind of an influence and you say no to Texas and you go to a different place, guess what happens? Other people listen. And that gradually leads to an exodus if California doesn't get their act together and think just because the weather is so great, people are eventually going to be naive enough to stay. And here's the thing. Don't get me wrong, California and Governor Newsom and Garcetti and all these other guys. You're going to keep the people that are tied because they're family. You're going to keep the people that are emotionally connected to the people there. You're going to keep the people that are just kind of like, you know what, I'm okay. It's not terrible, but I figured out. You're going to get the people that have been sabotaged to think it's the best place to be. But you're going to lose your critical thinkers and job creators and mouthpieces eventually. And then one day you're going to wake up and say, I thought you guys loved the beach. I thought you loved the weather here. What happened? And people are going to say, wait a minute. If I look at the U.S. map and I look at what the U.S. map offers to me, you know, I can definitely go, if I want, I can definitely go, let me see some of these places. I can go to Florida. They don't offer any taxes. I can go to a different place. I can go to Nevada. I can go to Tennessee. They don't offer any taxes in Tennessee, and Tennessee's coming up. What if I go to a great city like Nashville? What if I go to Fort Lauderdale? What if I go to Orlando? What if I go to Tampa? That's coming up. Didn't Brady just go there? What if I go to Houston? What if I go to Austin? What if I go to San Antonio? What if I go to Nevada? What if I go to some of these places? And gradually, this beautiful state that I love, lived 24 years in that state, is going to take a hit. So will New York. So will Illinois. If they don't realize that you cannot push your business owners, your job creators, and your influencers out. When Tiger Woods decided to move his family to Jupiter and live in Florida, Jupiter, it's a nice little island. I was there last week. When they decide to move, it's not a big deal. Why? Because Tiger doesn't go out there sharing his opinion and saying what people ought to be doing. But when an Elon Musk that is not afraid of telling people his opinion, or when a Joe Rogan, who runs a #1 podcast, goes out there and doesn't move like that, you better believe a lot of people are going to sit there saying, babe, did you hear about it? Did you hear about it, babe? I did. Maybe it's time for us. What do you think? I don't know, babe. I think it's starting to make a lot of sense. Maybe you ought to be thinking about it. So yes, this is a very big news of Elon Musk deciding to build $1 billion plant in Austin, because it is a statement that's being made on how California handled the pandemic and how they treated their business owners. And they're eventually going to push the job creators, the creative people, to say, I just can't do it here anymore. And we're starting to see a glimpse of it with Elon Musk.